again. So the collapses continue, and this time it affects the Solana network. For those who aren't familiar, Solend, one of the biggest lending platforms on the Solana network, has a huge $100 million whale who could bring down the whole of Solend and the Solana network. We need to get into the bottom of this and decide what are we going to do with our Solana position. What is going on? I'm going to be telling you what I'm doing with my Solana position, so make sure you hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, guys, this video is brought to you by Prime XBT. If you want to trade using a great exchange, Prime XBT are offering you guys up to $7,000 in bonuses when you just deposit. So get yourself set up over there on Prime XBT. But as you can see, the Solana price is getting a bit of a rally with wider crypto now during the second half of the weekend as Bitcoin got its bounce back to 20,500. You can see Solana is now sitting at $35, but the lows were really horrible at the weekend, with lows hitting about $25, $26 here. I mean, at the low point, you're looking at 25.7. I'm going to explain why that was so important as we go through exactly what happened with this whale. Guys, don't forget to hit up the like button. Now, we need to zoom out and say, okay, what is going on? Well, first of all, if you come onto DeFi Llama and you look at total value locked, the number one protocol on Solana by total value locked is a protocol called Solend. It's the largest lending market on Solana. Okay, you can head over to the website, and primarily using Solana and USDC, you can borrow and lend on this platform. Now, obviously, as happens with any borrow or lending platform during such a downward run in a crypto winter, what happens? Yes, you get risk of liquidation. We spoke about the huge deleveraging over Ethereum. Go watch that video if you want to understand exactly what's going on. We've explained what happened with Celsius getting into a bunch of trouble with the same issue. Go and watch what's going on with Celsius. I've made a video about that as well, which I'll link up. But here specifically, if Solana hit $22.30, okay, $22.3, the protocol would have automatically had to liquidate 20% of a whale's collateral. So let's go into exactly what happened minute by minute and bring you up to speed, because there's the latest development just hours ago, which I'm going to bring you right up to speed with. But first, we need to understand what is going on. So on the 18th of June, just a couple of days ago, Rooter, who is the co-founder, okay, he's anonymous, right? He's the co-founder here of Solend protocol. He's the engineer here as well. Says he makes a quick thread explaining what is going on, because it started to come to the attention of some people. A whale has a massive position of $170 million Solana deposited and $108 million stables borrowed. They're currently 95% of the SOL deposits and 86% of the USDC borrows. So huge on the platform, right? And you can see he tweeted earlier, a couple of days before then, June the 15th, 3 days before he then called this out, to say, excuse me, sir, would you please pay down your loan to avoid liquidation? So we could see this was a huge issue. Then their liquidation price is $22.27. We still have a way to go, but want to be ready for the worst case scenario. If the whale were to get liquidated, it'd start with a partial liquidation capped at 20% of the outstanding borrowers, about 21 million. This 21 million is enough to collapse, right? So watch this. The size of this size could be cleared with no problem on OTC, over the counters. But most liquidators don't do that, right? They're bots which are programmed and they use the DEX liquidity. They automatically liquidate on a DEX. Now, there's a risk that these bots do as they're programmed to nibble at the whales, selling on DEXs like Serum and Orca, which are the two primary DEXs on Solana. Now, this would have caused a big problem, right? Solend uses PIF network, which quotes from off-chain, which certainly helps. There's some worry that such a sell could quickly send the price down further, causing other accounts to become underwater. Solend has a treasury with $20 million that can help repay bad debt. However, in a worst-case scenario, which is what we want to be ready for, this may not be enough. Remember that $21 million is just the first 20% of the liquidation, and that fully covers up the Solend treasury. So they definitely didn't have a deep enough treasury. Thus, we're proactively trying to engage the world to get them to reduce their position and stop presenting such a systemic risk to other users of Solend. And guys, we've seen this before. It's crazy how on some of these layer one solutions, just a couple of degenerate whales can cause such chaos and affect other users. Now, we know in normal traditional finance this can happen too, but a lot of the regulation has helped. And again, lessons learned from TradFi, which hasn't been learned in crypto just yet. If you want to help, this was desperate, guys. Look at this. If you want to help, you can try to help us contact this whale, or you can place on-chain bids at 22.27 to help with DEX liquidity. Crazy. So this was a couple of days ago. That was the initial alert to something is going on with Solend, the biggest platform on Solana, which did not look good. You can also see they sent a message here: keeping user funds safe is Solend's top priority. Please reduce your position that your liquidated threshold is under $18 in the next 24 hours, or we'll have to explore other options. So they were pleading with him to start adding some collateral and sorting the issue out. But there was no joy. There was no joy. And then what Solend decided to do was launch a governance proposal. And this governance proposal went as follows. Dear Solend community, as you may know, the largest user on Solend, this wallet, has an extremely large margin position that is putting Solend protocol and its users at risk. Here are details about the user at the time of writing. 5.7 million Solana deposited, that's $170 million. 108 million USDC and USDT borrowed. 25% of TVL, 95% of SOL deposits, 88% of USDC borrows, a liquidation price of $22.30. Remember, things were getting precariously close over the weekend as Bitcoin fell to 17,000. It looked like Solana could have easily started liquidating this position. Solana was just dollars away from hitting this liquidation price. The last on-chain activity from the whale was 12 days ago. They just not heard from this whale. This is causing issues on the platform. If SOL drops to 22.30, the whale's account becomes liquidatable for up to 20% of the borrowers. This is what we've covered off, guys. 21 million would have to be liquidated. It's going to do it on the DEXs. In the worst case, Solend could end up with bad debt. This could cause chaos, putting a strain on the Solana network. Liquidators would be especially active and spamming the liquidate function, which has been known to be a known factor causing Solana to go down in the past. In other words, they're saying, guys, Solana don't have a good history here. And this was almost a shot at the chain that they're built on, right? Solana saying, look, Solana's been affected by this kind of stuff in the past. Like the huge liquidations has caused the downtime. We've covered that before. If you guys have not watched my previous Solana video, you can go watch it here. But the downtime on Solana is not great. And it's a worrying sign in the first place. Now, their biggest lending platform is having problems as well. Not a great look for Solana. Not a great look at all. Okay, so they've tried to reach out. He's not coming back. Now what do they need? Here are the options, right? So after much thought and deliberation and conversations amongst the team, investors and users here are our thoughts. We shouldn't do anything. At this size, the whale will always present a systemic risk to Solend and its users. They're showing no signs of action, and it seems inevitable that they will eventually allow themselves to be liquidated. Letting a liquidation of this size to happen on chain is extremely risky. DEX liquidity isn't deep enough to handle a sale of this size and could cause cascading effects. Additionally, liquidators are incentivized to spam the network in an effort to win very lucrative liquidations. This has been known to cause loads of issues for Solana in the past, which would exacerbate the problem. Again, shots fired towards Solana. So here's their plan. Enact special margin requirements for large whales. And this is the kicker, guys. For large whales that represent over 20% of borrows. If a user's borrows amounts to over 20% of all borrows for the main pool, a special liquidation threshold of 35% is required. This policy will go into effect upon approval of the proposal. Grant emergency power to Solend Labs to temporarily take over the whale's account so the liquidation can be executed OTC and avoid pushing Solana to its limits. Okay, so this is very interesting because Solend is using the approach that, look, it's not just our protocol at risk. This is the wider chain. Now, whether this is true or not, it'd be good to hear Solana's take on this, or whether Solend are just using it as bait to get everybody on side for their emergency proposal. But they said that they want this special power to go in and liquidate this whale on his behalf on OTC rather than the default through the DEXs. Insane. What happened to decentralization? I mean, this is insane. And you can imagine the responses online were insane. And yes, this went through, guys. It got voted yes. It went through. And we saw the reactions, right? This was Fat Man Terra, who was very vocal in the whole Terra Luna collapse with Do Kwon. This is pretty wild. The Solend team wants to take over the whale's account and execute the liquidation themselves. The whale position is so degenerate that if SOL drops too low, it will create cascading liquidations across the DEX books and potentially bad debt. Emin also came out. This is the founder and CEO over at Avalanche. Okay, he came out and said, what on earth is this? And he gave a pretty detailed thread explaining what is going on and how bad this is. I mean, the other worrying sign is when you look into this, when you saw it pass with 1 million votes versus 30,000 votes. But here's the kicker. 1 million of those votes were placed by one DAO, okay? So one voting member with huge voting power, huge voting weight, passing the majority of this. And this was a whale on the network that is known to have done this because he said he wanted people to recover their money back at the expense of this one whale who loses his sovereignty, who's going to get liquidated anyway. That's the approach that we heard from them. Okay, now Rooter then came out, again, the founder of Solend, coming out and saying, clearing up some misinformation about a whale vote in SLND1. The team and investors did not vote. This wallet is a non-user with 11.8 million in Solend who bought all their SLND on secondaries months ago. See for yourself. Okay, so they're saying this one big wallet is not part of the team. It's not the team, even though it looks suspicious. It's not the team that's doing this. But the pressure was so overwhelming that eventually they were trying to justify what happened, and they put out a few different tweets, but eventually what they had to do was come out with a number 2. So now they put out SLND2 to invalidate SLND1 and increase the voting time. So let's go through this and what it means. We propose to invalidate the last proposal which got passed by 1 million votes. We want to increase governance voting time to a day from 6 hours. So they want to increase that time. They say, look, and they want to work on a new proposal that does not involve emergency powers because people are not happy with the emergency powers. We recognize that a voting time of 1 day is still short, but we need to act swiftly to address the systemic risks and fact that normal users cannot withdraw USDC. We ask our community to be active in the governance. So this governance then went through, and literally hours ago, and this was covered by the wider press, you had CoinDesk covering it as well, their U-turn from SLND1 to SLND2, and it was passed. So SLND2 has been passed. They've now increased the voting time to 1 day, and they're going to try find a different solution. Again, you can see the distribution of votes are still quite large, right? You can still see these big players coming in and manipulating the vote, but this time in favor. The whale from SLND1 also came out on the Discord and gave some interesting information. Hey guys, I'm the whale. I'm planning to vote yes on the second proposal. I don't care about crypto Twitter hate if that means salvaging $120 million of retail dollar instead of holding up DeFi ethos for some whale that is degenerately gambling away 9-figure positions. With power comes responsibility, and the whale is showing none. But if we can work out a better solution, and it seems like the market is giving us a bit of time, I think I'm in favor of SLND2. We need to be quick with SLND3 though. Things can look very different in 24 hours. Absolutely right. And the saving grace here is since all this drama was happening, you're seeing a recovery in the price. And now that Solana's back up at $35, they've again got this $13 buffer between $35 where we're at currently and where the liquidation price is, all the way at about 22. So if we were to put that on the chart here, liquidation price is about down here. So you've got a little bit of breathing room, but they need to resolve this pretty sharplish. So what does this mean? What am I doing with my Solana position? It's a mess, right? It's a mess. And we know this is a mess. And we know this is not the only project and probably won't be the last. From Celsius to 3 Arrows Capital to Luna to now Solend. It's not going to be the last. And what is the common theme? The common theme is what I've been talking about in all my videos. Misallocation, over-leveraged, rehypothecation. It's not, it's not a surprise. We've learned this from TradFi, and it's frustrating that these crypto projects cannot learn and deleverage ahead of time when you can see you're heading into a crypto winter. I mean, it wasn't a surprise, was it? We can see this coming, and you've had plenty of time to see it coming with the macro economy and how things have been moving. So it's been pretty frustrating. Now, with my Solana position, I'm not adding to Solana right now anyway. You guys know I'm not particularly adding to any altcoins right now. I'm focused on accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I was lucky enough to acquire Solana in the early days. I was acquiring this in the kind of late 20s to 30 range. So I did really well when we were running up to the all-time highs of 260 on Solana. But during this run-up, I didn't chase any green candles. I weren't buying in at any of these higher prices. I was letting my position run. I was already, I was happy with my allocation of Solana. And as the price was growing, it was becoming a bigger part of my portfolio. So I was trimming, if anything. At this point, I'm not going to accumulate anymore. And that's because a few things have changed since. Now, this can change in the future, but for right now, I just want Solana to sort out a few things. One, I'm a bit concerned around some of the VC backing. I know there's huge amounts of VCs who are just waiting to dump Solana, and I'm just always conscious of the fact that when are they going to dump, right? They were buying in well early, well before us, and at some point, they're going to want to realize their profits so they can go invest somewhere else. That's how a VC fund works. The second thing, which is huge, and I cover it off in my video here, is the downtime. We cannot ignore the downtime, and this is a critical thing for a layer 1 solution. The lack of decentralization for me, and the too often downtime, is a huge problem and a burden, which is making me feel very worried about Solana right now. I'm comfortable in my position. It's not a huge position. It's a decent part of my layer one part of my portfolio, but I'm not going to aggressively be adding. I'm not going to be adding at all for now. That could change. But again, I need to see something. What is going on? Why is this downtime happening? What improvements are going to be put into place? Is there any acknowledgement of it? What can we do better to stop it? And the fact that Solend comes out now and almost uses that as kind of a cover is very interesting, because is Solend using that just as bait to say to the market, this is not just about our project being bad, the whole chain is bad? I mean, why would you bite the hand that feeds? Very, very interesting. You chose to build on Solana, and now you're saying, oh, we're doing this. We have to move from a DeFi to centralized finance and liquidate this whale and take emergency powers because the Solana chain can't handle it. Very, very interesting. Something I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. For now, I'm not adding any more to my Solana. I'm not selling, but I will just keep a cautious eye on the progression and see what happens from the team and if there are any technical developments or things they can do to improve over the next kind of 6 to 12 months. Thanks guys for watching this video. Don't forget to smash up the like button and subscribe if you like breakdowns like this. Let me know in the comments. Share this with a friend who doesn't know what's going on. Don't forget, if you want to trade in these moves, BYBIT are supporting this channel. Links in the description. $4,000 in bonuses when you just deposit. So get yourself deposited, unlock some of those bonuses. You could trade with those too. Thanks for watching guys. Don't forget to watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next one.